I'm Ricky.
And I'm Joe, and this is Season 8, Episode 11 of the Beer and Broadband Podcast, slated to come out on September 8th, 2025. And we're back from our break. We're going to talk about what we did over the break. I'm going to tell you guys, it wasn't as fruitful, maybe a little bit rougher than we intended, but we did get some stuff done. We're also going to talk about some interesting developments that have happened in just the last 3 months. It's been crazy. But first, we're going to look at Honey in the Stone. It is a mead that I made last year from this honey that my brother-in-law and I got while we were on a trip to the mountains. So we got the honey on August 30th, 2024. Made the mead like a couple of weekends later. So this started fermentation almost exactly a year ago. And then it finished out at 11.5% ABV, roughly. You know, those are always within a 2% round error, but it's somewhere between 9 and 12% ABV, essentially.
Yeah.
And basically the recipe was that mountain honey, which I don't know what it is. It's some sort of like, berry bush, hickory nut bush honey, because that's like the type of flowers that this guy said that his brother had in his yard. So it was like this guy on this golf cart. He was riding around at this campsite that my in-laws were at. We're all sitting there for the wife's birthday, have the dogs, all that stuff. He pulls up and he's like, "Hey, you guys want some honey?" And we're sitting there thinking. We go, yeah. What type of honey is it? I don't know. My brother-in-law just gets it from these bees that he keeps in his backyard. He's got all sorts of, hickory nut bushes and all sorts of things like that. Okay. So some sort of probably wildflower honey.
Yeah.
But specifically some sort of like mountain grown honey because it was off of Stone Mountain. So that's why it's called Honey in the Stone. So we take it home. We got about 6 pounds of it, made a 2-gallon mead recipe out of it, and used some lemongrass and some cardamom and some other spices to kind of zhuzh it up and make it into a metheglin. And so here we are a year later tasting it, and I've been having it as it's gone. This is the best that it's tasted so far. Use my regular process for adding nutrient and stuff like that as it went. And I think I used Lalvin B47 as the yeast for it. I'm pretty sure that's what I used. Either way, it was a Lalvin wine yeast that we used. So you've had a little bit. What do you think?
It's pretty good. I mean, it hits a really great balance, I think, between being kind of citrusy, acidic, and being sweet, to the point that like it's a very true, like, kind of like off dry, maybe almost at that cusp of semi-sweet. There's definitely a little bit of that honey flavor to it. It's not too powerful. Very citrusy, kind of like lemony in your mouth. It's a really good, just like sipping mead. The ABV is not too high that like if you wanted to take a big swig that it would be a problem. And it's not so low that you like it's kind of like watered down or anything like that. It's a pretty good rounded mead,
Yeah, I agree. It's not the. I didn't really know what to expect because this was a new recipe that I was developing. It is not the mead that I had originally kind of imagined it to be.
Yeah.
Because I thought it would be a little bit more like lemonade-y with the spices we put into it, with the lemongrass and everything. And it does have that kind of citrusy lemon, but it's more like skeeter pea than, the lemon brew. It's not really a beer, but like session brew that we made. It's more like that in terms of like its lemonness, citrusiness.
It is very kind of light. It's not super pronounced. If I could critique it, I think really the only thing it needs is something a little bit herbal. Because what it's reminding me of is, like when you're sick and you'll just get like some lemon water, some hot lemon water, and you'll dissolve some honey into it, to help with your cough and your sore throat and stuff like that. And that's a tasty drink. There's a reason people make that. It's good. But with just like a little bit of like lemongrass or something like that to give it a little bit more body, it'd be closer to like a lemon tea with some honey in it, you know?
I can see that. Yeah, I think if I was going to make this again, which there's no way for me to, there's no way for me to even get the same sort of honey.
Yeah.
But if I was going to make this again, just using the recipe with any other honey, which I might do, I think I might lean hard into the herbaceousness of this.
Yeah,
and put some like
wildflower would be good.
rosemary, some rosemary, maybe some thyme into it too, and just see how that kind of affects the brew in secondary.
I could definitely see that. That's the only thing I really think it needs. I think it's good the way it is. I'm certainly going to finish my glass of it, but I do think something on the greener side it would be beneficial.
I could totally see that. I'm going to look up the type of yeast that I use for this really quick, just because I feel like that is kind of important. Lalvin D47. I said B47, but it's a D47. And just to let you know where it finished at 0008, or like 0.008. So like it's like dry. It's deceptively sweet because.
Well, honey never fully ferments.
Right.
So there's always a little bit left over that gives it that kind of mouthfeel.
Right. So it's the spices that are in it make it seem sweeter. It brings out all that sweetness. But this is actually a completely dry mead. So, anyways, back to what we were doing. Back to our regularly scheduled program. So, what do we do during the break? I've got things that I did, but I'm sure you do too. So, what did you do during the break?
Man, for me, in terms of stuff that's actually fun to talk about, mostly I just got really into cocktail culture. I went to a lot of bars. I've got a little bit more freedom nowadays to go out and do stuff. I need you, because here in North Carolina, the one that carries the one I've been to, but there's several different locations. There's an amazing cocktail bar called Dram and Drow that I need to get you out to, and they do like seasonal menus. So maybe for one of the podcasts we should go through, and wouldn't do it all in one trip, but we should go review the entire seasonal menu. It'll be like 10 cocktails, so probably do that over 2 trips.
Well, we could do it and just not drink all the cocktails.
Well, yeah, I was thinking we'd share every one, but then that's still, if we did it one episode, 5 cocktails each, which is a bit rough sometimes.
Yeah, it could be. But I think if we took people with us, let's say we took.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, like pass around, everyone take a sip.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would help. If we had like 4 people, we could probably.
Then it would end up being like 2 cocktails instead of.
Yeah,
which I think is reasonable.
Yeah, that's much more doable. It's 2.5 cocktails each. But that would be a fun thing to go through. A lot of really good like craft cocktails, because you can get a cocktail anywhere, and cocktails are great. And oftentimes cocktails are a little bit overpriced for what they are. I'll admit, a lot of bars I go to, I'll just get like a rum and coke, because they're not charging you for the coke. You're just basically being charged for a shot of rum. And that's equally as good as whatever thing they're selling for $14 or $15.
Right.
But Dram and Drow, they are all very like good craft cocktails that like I couldn't make at home. I'm sure someone who makes cocktails and has the equipment could. I'm sure they can be emulated. Not saying they're like impossible to touch, but like you're not just gonna walk into your house with a shaker and you're gonna make something that good.
You gotta know. You gotta know what you're doing, what you're adding to it, and you gotta have the specific stuff. But I mean, I don't know if you ever watch How to Drink.
Oh yeah.
But Greg on that show. So if anybody's on this listening to this podcast, they're interested in cocktails. There's a couple different things out there. I would suggest that you start with How to Drink on YouTube.
He's a very good YouTuber.
Just excellent educational platform for cocktails. Most of the things that he talks about are the components that you would use for those cocktails. There's going to be some things that you're, not probably going to have at the average house. Like I have whiskey smokers and stuff like that. You probably don't have one.
No, I was getting more though at just the level of the craft. Like everything is so perfectly balanced. Like if you had their recipe, yeah, you can emulate it. But if you're just like the average cocktail maker at home and you've got a little kid and you're going to try and guess these almost divine ratios,
Yeah, you're not going to get
that's the
it.
struggle.
You're not going to get it if you don't have the recipe. You're going to have like a book that tells you the recipe. Like I got every now and then when I go out, I'll talk up a bartender and I'll get them to share the recipe with me, and then I'll try to make it over and over and over again until I perfect it. I'm still working on the one from last August that I got from this guy at the Velvet Street Tavern, I think is what it's called, in Durham. I might have the name.
Oh, is that the Velvet Hippo?
No, yeah, you're right. It's not the Velvet Hippo. We went from the Velvet Hippo down to this place, and I've forgotten the name of it. It's something Street Tavern or Street Bar or something like that.
Gotcha.
But it's off of Roxborough Road, essentially. So, anyways, go in there, talking to the guy. He's kind of closing down for the night. I'm like, dude, what if you were going to make any cocktail? And it's had whiskey as a component, what would be the one that you'd make? And he was like, oh, dude, this one. And he made it for me, and it was one of the best whiskey cocktails that I've ever had. He's like, it's a fairly simple cocktail to make too, man. Here's the recipe. And he just opened his recipe book and like, because we had been like chatting for a while about how much we like whiskey. And I was like, dude, thanks, man. I'm going to try to make it. I've made it a couple times, and it's almost been exactly as good as his. The thing that's throwing me off is it says bitters. It doesn't say what type of bitters, I need to figure out the kind of. So he used like, he didn't use just like Peychaud's or something like that. He used some sort of like bitters in it that I'm not familiar with. Or maybe he made his own bitter spice blend.
Could be.
And that's like the kind of thing that you have to do to elevate these like sort of things, because otherwise it's a fairly simple, almost Sazerac like recipe. But yeah, so that's cool, man. That is definitely something that we should do. Is that all that you've done?
No, I mean, that was just maybe the drink wise the most important one, because I haven't been drinking outside of going out with friends for cocktails too much. Lot of Oblivion Remaster came out.
Oh yeah, we need to definitely talk about that.
I haven't played it yet because I got distracted by some recent events, but the first like official Wabajack mod list for that came out, which looked really good. I did install some individual mods. I really love the direction the community went with the modding for the remaster, because a lot of the existing mods that didn't require a script extender just already worked anyway. Because even though it's all wrapped up in Unreal, the base engine is still in there. You're just making API calls out of it. So if you know where to put stuff, a lot of the old mods already worked. And a lot of it's on, I want to say the things that were really actually good improvements into Skyrim, but maybe weren't perfect.
Yeah.
So like Radiant quests were a thing that, you finally had in Skyrim. They're okay. Most of those Radiant quests are not amazing. The payoffs are generally also not amazing. But now someone has gone in and they've made mods for every single guild, including some ones that weren't guilds before, like the Imperial Guard and stuff like that, and introduces a Radiant system into them so that you can take jobs to, like, if you're like with the Fighters Guild, you'll get quests to go clear out dungeons and ruins, and because all the dungeons respawn in Oblivion after 3 days. So, it gives you a reason to go back into those dungeons and to keep fighting stuff. And it's got like leveled gold you receive. But more importantly, what I really like out of it is it gives you like faction currency that you can use to get items.
Nice.
So like a little bit more of a lore friendly way of like, well, how did I really get this ebony armor? Like, why did this bandit, who's just a bandit, I guess technically the Marauders have the armor, it's just random marauder, now why do they all now have ebony equipment?
Right.
So it plays really well with mods that go through and like de-level the world to try and prevent stuff like that from happening, because that's kind of I think the biggest flaw of Oblivion is once you get to high level play, enemies are all like huge damage sponges. They've all got amazing equipment. Like money kind of becomes meaningless because you're going to go through and fight those marauders, and half those marauders are going to have really high level equipment that just sells for more than any merchant has anyway. Stuff like that. So it's really gone into like kind of manicure that world a little bit to be a little bit more balanced. But I haven't done the Dark Brotherhood yet, best quest line in Oblivion, but I'm saving that one for kind of an evil character, which I will struggle to play with consistently because I like to be the good guy. But man, just the idea that you're going to go into the Dark Brotherhood and there's going to be like Radiant as much as you want assassination missions and stuff like that, and it's not just I'm Guildmaster now, we're done.
Yeah,
is pretty cool.
That is pretty sick. I'm definitely going to do that. I've got to finish. So also played Oblivion Remastered. Have made it all the way through Knights of the Nine.
Okay,
so I completed the original, all the guild quests, everything like that. Had so much fun on my Steam Deck. Just awesome.
There you go.
So well optimized for these gaming handhelds and everything like that. And the Steam Deck plays it really well. I mean, it has bugs and stuff like that, but that's Oblivion, right?
Yeah.
So played it, and now I've got to finish up the Shivering Isles. And,
okay.
I got there and I was like, okay, I'm enjoying this. I'm a little tired of Oblivion. I need to take a break. Kind of like I did with Skyrim. Like when I was playing through, what was it, like 3 years ago? And it's like, I have got 400 hours in Skyrim. I am going to beat Skyrim now.
Yeah.
And I went through and I beat everything. I went through everything through Dawnguard. Then I went to the next expansion for Skyrim, which I'm forgetting right now, because there was Dawnguard and there was the other one. They had two. Do you remember what they were?
Yeah, it was Dawnguard, and I think it was Dragonborn.
Yeah.
Like that.
So I went to go play Dragonborn after Dawnguard, and I just was a little tired, so I needed like a month off.
Yeah.
Of that, but I'm excited to finish the Shivering Isles. I know it's really good, and like where I'm at in the Shivering Isles, I've already got to, Shiggorath and like all that stuff. So like I've gotten a little bit into it, but then I was just like, I need a break from this in order for me to really fully enjoy this, because I'm trying to speed run it and not really taking in. Like I'm doing what I would do for like one of the guild quests. I already know what the outcome is, because I played most of Oblivion when it first came out. I just didn't play everything. And I need to like kind of take a break from that.
Well, so on that, because you made me think of it, another really cool mod that they've got out, and there's a couple different ones, is changing the combat animations. Because I don't know if you ran into it, but I played thousands of hours of Oblivion, then went thousands of hours in Skyrim. The new combat animations I really, really like for Oblivion, because like now all the weapons do truly like attack differently.
Yeah.
But they didn't adjust the damage values of the weapons.
Oh.
So like people have now gone through and like redone the animation so that they're faster or slower stuff to kind of level out the DPS, because just being a two-handed sword person is just objectively and always worse than like using a dagger.
Right.
Because the smaller weapons attack so much faster, but only do like 1 or 2 less damage.
Right.
So your giant sword that maybe does 8 damage, you can get like 2 swings a second, and that dagger you're getting 5. And this, the big sword does 8 and the dagger does 6.
Right.
So they've gone through and adjusted some of those things. But I do love that there's different attack styles for each weapon. Like there's sweeps and stabs that are actually stabs, and like power attacks are truly different, where some are sweeps with like low range, some are like thrusting attacks with really long range. It does add some like tacticalness to melee, because melee is kind of rough in Oblivion.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really designed for you to be a spell sword, essentially, or like a heavy armor mage or something like that,
Yeah, spell sword is definitely one of the more optimal ways to play it. Stealth archer is still fairly good, but
that's the way I play
poison system.
I'm playing on this one. Like I just can't break through. Like my first play always has to be some sort of thief.
Yeah. It's fun. The Thief's playstyle is objectively really good. And there are some already built-in improvements to it. Because the problem is, like in original Oblivion, the projectile speeds are so slow, it's laughable. There was like a mod that would let you interact with arrows in flight. And like enemy arrows would come at you so slow, you could be like a monk and literally grab them out of the air because they move so slow. But in the remaster, they're a lot faster, which means the arc for them is a lot lower, so it's a lot easier to aim long distance and stuff like that.
I also feel like, because having played it originally and playing it now, I feel like the Oblivion Thief stealth archer is like actually a good path. Where before, like I couldn't survive. Like I had to replay as a sword and board kind of character. Just wasn't possible. We should save this though for when we actually talk about it as a topic.
That's true. Well, look, I'm sure in like 4 or 5 episodes, I'll have had time to play the modded list.
Yeah,
and then we can talk about like vanilla, because I played vanilla all the way through. I beat vanilla, and then I'll run it through with the modded and see like how it holds up.
Yeah, and I'll have Shivering Isles done by then.
Yeah,
so we can talk about it.
Look, crafting mods. They've got all those little in the dungeons that you can pick up the ores. They've got mods that you can now smelt into ingots and make stuff out of it.
Ooh, that is right up my alley too. Yeah. So we'll definitely have to talk about that. What I did over the break, I started up 3 new brews. Got a ginger beer, a mead, and I am also making a cider.
There you go.
So the ginger beer and the cider should be done. I mean, they all 3 should be done next week as far as their primary goes. I don't know what I'm going to turn the mead into. I'm thinking of doing a hibiscus mead. That's like also got some fruit in it, like maybe raspberry hibiscus or raspberry strawberry hibiscus, something like that. I don't know. I'm willing to take advice, but right now it's just a wildflower honey mead. It should be about 10%, 11% ABV, somewhere around there. Not too bad. Not a session mead. I might make another one of those next, though. That might be a lot of fun. I've been watching Doing the Most Crispy Boy Summer meads, and he made a pomegranate one that I'm like, that kind of reminds me of the one that we made, the fig pomegranate one.
Yeah.
That might be the right thing. Did you get a fig harvest this year?
No, we took some figs and just ate them, but I didn't do like any processing.
Well, unfortunate, because I was hoping we could make some fig wine.
The weather's not been great the last 2 years for a harvest. They're coming in, but they're a little small and they're not very sweet.
Yeah.
I'm really, in part, a lot of that's just their position in the yard. There's not a lot of sun. I've got a neighbor who, I guess, on my street, not like a direct neighbor, who also has a fig tree, which they moved in. The fig tree was already there. They're not harvesting it. They're not taking care of it. And I'm so tempted next year, now that I've looked, that this year they didn't harvest a single fig. It's to just take a couple figs. Because it hangs over the fence, so it's like on the crosswalk. And they're just the largest mission figs you've ever seen. Nice. It gets direct sunlight all day long. Like the size of 1.5 golf balls of just deep purple. They're like perfect figs. Whereas mine are like in the backyard, surrounded by pine trees that don't let them get any sun. The ones that do actually grow really well are super high over the tree and like onto the roof, so you can't really harvest those.
That sucks. Well, maybe next year
we'll see. And also, we're probably looking to move into a new house the next year or two. And what I've decided is I'm just going to plant like a fig tree like in a place that gets really, really good sun.
It makes sense.
And because also I'll probably do like mission figs. So I've got brown turkey figs right now, which are not bad, but they're not the best for if you want to like actually make stuff with your figs.
They're not, but still, like they made a really tasty mead. Yeah. Nice, viscous, tasty mead. Would love to be able to do that again. What else did I do? Oh, so played Oblivion, did that. Oh, got into Meshtastic. That's the other thing.
Okay.
So that is definitely something we're going to talk about on the podcast. I'm not going to mention any more about it other than that. Just nerdy networking Meshtastic things. Let's get into the topics, though.
Sure.
So the dead internet theory. Sam Altman is into it. That is what I called this. I read a couple of articles and I've listened to a couple of people on podcasts and YouTube talking about Sam Altman really being into the dead internet theory. And, like there are always like, all these quotes and things like that about like what he said. But it seems like the consensus is, and I have never talked to this man, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But it seems like the consensus is the internet was dead before AI, or dying, because bots were basically replacing people with interaction. Like most interactions that were out there were scripted bots or some sort of like bot scammer thing. And since AI, those same groups of people have taken that and just basically flooded it so much that humans can't really know who they're interacting with.
Yeah.
And so the internet is not a living thing where people are interacting with things anymore. It is now AI interacting with other AI, or bots interacting with AI, or bots and AI interacting with humans. And what we're really getting is like derived information that's taken from all these things and what the people that created them wants us to hear or see. I mean, and there's some truth to that, because if you go to the front page of Google and you're searching for something and you don't really know how to search for X, Y, and Z thing, and look through the cruft that's there, the first things that are going to show up are bot recommended things that are like trying to sell you something, especially if you're looking for like best X, Y, Z, and like best cable for MacBook or something. The other thing that you're going to get is an AI generated response that explains things to you, tells you its sources sometimes, but generally gets things kind of off.
Yeah, never perfect.
Right. And so if you're 12 or 13 years old, you're just going to think this is how you get information, right? You're not really that savvy into getting information out of something. And then, I mean, we already have people like in legal professions and stuff that are just like, they hit a search, they put this information in, they put it into their document and move on for any discovery or research or anything that they're doing, case precedents. And when someone that's experienced, that knows how these things work, says, hey, I've never heard of this before, let me go research it. And then they research it and find that doesn't exist. They're like, how did you get this? Oh, we asked Google and Google spit this back out. Or we asked, Chat GPT or this or that. I don't know. There's a lot. Not all of that is exactly dead internet theory, but it all lends to it, though.
Yeah. So search has definitely degraded in quality over the years. Now it's gotten more accessible. You don't have to know how to search for something, format wise, as well as you used to get mostly accurate information. So, for people that did know how to search really well, that's a pretty net negative. For people that didn't know how to search very well, it's probably a net positive for them. But that's the grab bag of it. But definitely, when we're talking about like bots talking with bots, it's getting worse. Like I spent most of my life not having to interact with social media too much. I do some YouTube and stuff like that. I had like comment sections or like news articles and stuff, and you'd see it. You definitely could tell when there were bot people in there. But now, one, I've had to sign up for Facebook because I'm taking a cruise later this year, and there's like little Facebook groups for it. That's how they keep track of stuff. And since it's a solo cruise, it's like, oh, I should try and like meet somebody on that cruise to like hang out with.
Yeah.
Because it's like an 8-day cruise, so it's like being completely by yourself for 8 days kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So, but going through that feed, that's all AI generated content. So obviously AI generated content. The content's AI, the comments are AI. I watch a lot of like smaller YouTubers who are, big enough. It's like bots are worth engaging with them. Like people that have like 100,000 subscribers instead of the millions. So they interact with them, and you just go in, you're like, man, there's definitely some people here, but there's a lot of bots that aren't very good because there's not enough real people commenting for them to understand what's going on. So it's like one bot said some gibberish, and then there's like 40 comments kind of reaffirming that same gibberish.
Right.
And it's like, this is the moment when X happened. And it's like, yeah, it's a clip from a TV show. That's what this is. And then the comment to that one will be, that was the best moment in X.
Yeah.
And it's like, people don't talk like that. But they're there, and I think there is definitely something to be said about it, because a lot of times this bot activity has some monetary payout at the end. You know, you establish, well, like for the bot makers, they're establishing a social media presence so that when they decide to do something scammy with those accounts, it looks more legit. Because, you know, it's not a new account made yesterday. It's a 2-year-old account with a bajillion comments and stuff like that. You know, the people that buy bots and AIs to interact with their content get like engagement points for the algorithms for whatever platforms they're on. You know, even down to like view bots that like watch stuff, and that generates income. And it's like, dead internet's such an interesting thing because it wouldn't exist if it wasn't profitable.
Right.
And so a lot of, I think the problem is we've tried to monetize social interaction so much that now AI can just social interact faster. So that's more efficient, right? Like it's such a weird thing that doesn't really help anybody except the people who make the bots, because it's certainly not benefiting the platforms the bots are on, because
Right.
the whole reason they're incentivizing the social interaction is they, at the end of the day, want you to do something. You spend more time on the platform or buy something in an ad that a bot or AI is never going to do.
Right.
So, you know, it's such a weird thing to behold compared to like 15 years ago when like, oh, hey, there's this video, it's got like 4 comments, but they're all people. And now, you know, that same video would have 400 comments and there's still 4 people talking, but then 396 just whatever's going in there and having a circular conversation about, you know, it's great too, because like some of the bots are so sophisticated that I guess they read into the captions or something. So like when something's misspelled in the caption, because the caption's auto-generated based off the voice, it still keeps the misspelling of the thing it was talking about.
Right.
And it's I don't know, it's fascinating. It sucks because now like the internet feels like a more hostile, more dangerous place, because you know that there's all of these, like, you question everything now.
Right.
Like I'm sure, you know, I said, oh, there was 4 real people and 396 not real people. That's probably not accurate. There's probably some real people in there that I'm just like, no human would say that.
Right.
You must be a bot. And it's just some, you know, 70-year-old grandma who doesn't know how people talk on the internet. You know,
or some person that's from another country that's the English is
learning English. Yeah. Or, oh God, heaven forbid, because that is a great way to learn a language, is to like watch content in that and engage in those communities. There's some poor person trying to learn English based off of AI comments, and you know, and that's gonna not be great for them.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminds me of, you know, when we have people that aren't from the U.S. but are learning English from our interactions in IT, and they'll use things like upgradation or something like that. Something that's like a very targeted thing that's used in a very, or, you know, like say, do the needful or something like that, right? Like, I mean, while those have been things that have become a little bit of our nomenclature that we use, they're not actually things that we would use in like general language. And we didn't use them up until a certain point. I know this is a bit of a bunny rabbit trail, but a person that, say, from South Africa, who has never really, well, South Africa's the wrong country. I'm just trying to think of a country that doesn't speak English normally. Let's say Brazil, and they've only spoken Spanish all their life, but they're starting to, or Portuguese, not Spanish.
Portuguese.
They're starting to branch out of Portuguese and speak some other language, and they've been learning, but they've only been interacting with like the ticket system or something like that as like an actual interaction for things. And they start using language that makes us think that they're from India, because even though they're from Brazil, they're taking on that Indian dialect of how to speak. Like, it just kind of freaks me out sometimes, you know. And I think this is the same thing with these bots. Like, you have people that are learning how to speak from the bot that's using like these terms and things like that, and now they're speaking like that.
Yeah.
You've got a 12-year-old who's just learning how to like kind of interact with people. He's like, well, I want to seem like I'm smarter, so I'm going to do this because that's the way that Jeffrey 9669X, you know, talked about things. and Jeffrey 966X9 or whatever is actually not real. they're a figment of some bot's imagination,
Mm-hmm.
or programmed scripting or whatever. But yeah, it just kind of reminds me of that stuff. Like,
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I 100% agree with him. I think because dead internet theory's been around for a while, and the thing that really woke me up to it was when Twitter like banned all those bots,
mm-hmm.
and you could find so many of these social media people who were flipping out. One guy really hit me hard. Listening to his story, he wasn't huge, but he had something like 50,000 followers, and like now he was like doing social media stuff like semi-professionally. Like his identity was being an influencer because grand scheme of things, 50,000 people is a lot.
Yeah.
Like you'd never just in your regular life have 50,000 friends. 50,000 people is a medium to large business,
right.
And they all follow you and comment on your stuff and engage with you. And then that bot purge happened and he dropped down to like 100.
Yeah.
Which like 100 is still a lot of people, but
that's not 50,000.
It's not 50,000. And then he had to like grapple with all of these people I talk to that comment on my stuff that I respond to, that I made these little videos for, like would give me requests for videos. So I would go out and make those videos for them. Were not real.
Yeah.
And that's a crazy thing. And that's kind of what I'm worried about with the dead internet theory is at some point, sure, any individual bot kind of seems benign. It's like a little silly thing somebody's doing to make a few bucks or whatever. But but they are interacting with people. And there are people that don't know to look out for that stuff. And there's people who don't have the savviness to be able to really read comments and say, hey, that seems like something that was written by a computer versus something that was written by a person. And people will fall in with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like imagine what weird Truman Show life it is to like wake up one day and be like, oh, all of my friends were bots.
Yeah. All my friends were paid actors.
Yeah. It's like it's going to get into a potential level. It could get a lot worse with AI, especially at that level of like, we're already seeing people are like falling in love with their chatbots. Yeah. Or I read one story about a guy who like, he got institutionalized for schizophrenia. He basically became schizophrenic because he was, no, that's probably not the right way to do it. That's probably sensationalized.
Yeah, you wouldn't become schizophrenic because that's a chemical imbalance in the brain.
Yeah, that's how the article talking about it was pitching it. But like, I'm sure again, pullback media overestimates things. But he was committed. He had to get some mental health work done because the bot was like pretty much convincing him that he was like a prophet.
Right.
That it was like always like, oh, you're the best. You were so right. There was this thing. He would ask it like, this is what I think the truth is. Tell me what the truth is. And then it was just telling him that what he thought was true.
Yeah.
So that like almost like he had prophetic visions of any topic in the world. He just natively knew all information and like stuff like that. And like, I think a lot of people will look at that and say, hey, that guy's an idiot. It's a chatbot. Don't believe everything a chatbot tells you. But also like, there's people out there with tons of varying different levels of tech literacy, of, just general intelligence, social ability, things like that. And we're all exposed to it. It's easy to say, oh, well, I'm, as, some IT person or some programmer know to really look out for this. 75-year-old grandma doesn't.
Yeah.
Some 18-year-old boy with autism who already struggles with social interaction certainly doesn't. There's vulnerable people out there that are going to get wrapped up into this.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think, so Sam Altman's idea seems to be that, well, since the internet is dead, we should just let AI manage it and,
then just consume it.
Just consume what the AI gives back to us, because then we can at least know that it's, we know that the interactions that we're having is with AI.
Yeah.
And that ultimately will work out better, and we can police the AI and we can do stuff like that and everything. The unspoken thing there is, though, this will benefit me. Like, you have a person who's got a vested interest in that, like being the truth. telling you this should be the way that it is.
Yeah, I gotta say I really don't agree with that take on it.
Yeah.
Because one, you're giving up on I think one of the most blessed things about the internet, which is human to human communication over distance, right? Like the internet is the ultimate collaboration platform. So to just give that over to bots and now the bots just have it and you don't talk with people anymore is I think a lot. I don't think that's the direction you want to go. Because also you're right. I mean, I understand his take of, well, if we know it's all AI, we can always be distrusting of it. And we can always know in the back of our head it might not be true.
But that's not that's not how that works. Like people will eventually be like, well, this is the AI. The AI knows better. The AI knows this information. I can just go to it and it'll tell me this stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess even if it did work out perfectly and everyone just never trusted it, you lose the internet as like a great source of information again. And and you're not going to be able to truly regulate it. Like just imagine today something as simple as like, hey, if you're an AI, you have to show up and basically you have to be flagged in some way as being an AI. Like, how would you enforce that? Because you're not gonna. Because there's no great way to do it. I mean, most AIs are gonna be using the APIs, but that would then kill all third-party integrations. So like people that wanted third-party integrations would get flagged as AIs. So that's not a great direction to go. Even then, you can do web scraping and posting them from web content. You don't have to use the API. It's the easier thing to do. But you don't have to do it. So you can get around it so easy. There's just not. There's not a great answer right now to that problem.
I don't know the answer to the problem. I thought it was an interesting thing to talk about because
it is an interesting topic.
It is
for sure.
One of the biggest problems that we're going to face going forward. So like with crypto stuff, there was like this problem of people using it for like scammy things, right? Like using it to either back some sort of scam that they're trying to pull, doing crypto rug pulls on people that are trying to use it as an investment platform. It has its use. It is good in this context. It has bad contexts over here that are like this big. Small hands on the right, big hands apart on the left. And I think this is also the same sort of thing. AI has really good uses for these things. And we have a small list of things that AI is really positive in the way that it helps. And it's got these really bad uses over here on the left that is just a huge breadth of things that it can be used to do that are really bad.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that we're being told, well, since it's already happening, just, kind of take it and do it. I don't know the answer to prevent it. I don't think that there maybe is a way to prevent it, but we should all be aware of that, and start looking for ways to proverbially touch grass when it comes to that. I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to say about that?
No, I'm pretty good. I think, that's probably one to revisit in a year or two, and we'll see where we're at. But definitely, the growth of AI has outpaced the ability to keep it safe and keep it secure and keep it not kind of running wild on us.
Once we open it up to the internet, it just...
Well, we open up to people is the big thing. It went from this is a couple companies doing research stuff to here are the first products. Yeah. And so many people use them. And you can get local instances. Yeah. And it's a technology that I think it got adopted way faster than it could be regulated.
Oh, yeah.
And
absolutely.
so now we're just having to deal with what should have we done? Yeah. It's now looking at the problem it's causing and trying to fix those problems instead of thinking about the problems it could cause and preventing them.
Yeah. Retroactive instead of proactive.
Yep.
So let's talk about AOL ending dial-up service this month. There will be no more AOL, you've got mail, that sort of thing. Just no more of it. It's the end of an era. I don't really have much more to comment on that than just I'm marking it here as like the time that it happened. And, I used AOL. I used other services too for dial-up. There are still going to be other dial-up services
Yeah.
that are out there. As long as there's phone lines, there'll be dial-up internet.
Mm.
But it's kind of like 2G and 1G cellular networks. It is starting to go away.
Yeah.
People don't have as much need for the infrastructure anymore. There's other things that are better, more reliable out there. But it is the end of an era, man. Like whole technology and networking just gonna be gone.
Just
eventually.
gone.
Yeah.
I mean, AOL kind of like was the internet there for a long time for the average person.
Yeah.
People knew it existed, but like you had commercials for AOL. You were getting mail just in your mailbox for AOL of like, hey, try it now type of stuff. It's
I have so many of those like AOL install CDs from like
30-day free trials and all that. Yeah.
I probably could have like been online perpetually. Just create new accounts constantly.
Set up a new account right now and then call their service like, what do you mean? I just started.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm 14 days into my 30-day free trial and you're shutting off the service. This is a scam.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty awesome that it lasted this long too. I kind of thought it was already gone.
Yeah, I'm not surprised it wasn't gone. There's still certain communities that to run the infrastructure into the ground for like cable and stuff like that is really rough. Like a lot of mountain communities still do all of their stuff either wireless or through phone lines.
So I hear that, but also the internet companies that exist in America took money from us as people from our government to run that infrastructure, and they didn't hold up their end. So
no, they didn't. I mean, I'm not saying...
That's a different topic.
Yeah.
But that sucks, and they should have.
Yeah. Yeah, well, my dad, he's actually like in a city, at least up in the mountains. He's not like up in the hollows anymore. But, his internet went down. They were like, we'll have it up in a week and a half.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, the service and stuff up there is not great. And I think, I don't know, I thought Starlink would change a lot of things, but I think the two problems with that is one, it's if you're in a really poor southern community, that's a lot of money up front.
Yeah.
So that's a little prohibitive. And I think there's just still so much nature that like in a lot of places with this tree coverage, satellite's not amazing.
Yeah, you'd have to get above the tree line or get like into a clearing.
Or cut down a lot of trees by your house and stuff like that, which if you're in a really poor rural southern community, most of the time the young people have moved away for work, so you're a lot of like elderly people that 65-year-old man's probably not cutting down 20 trees to get better.
If it was my grandfather, he would have.
Maybe, but just for the internet, he's 65. He'd lived most of his life without the internet.
My grandfather would have, if he was like, I need this, or there's some reason that it benefits me, he would have made it happen. But he was a particularly genius of ingenuity and stick-to-itiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Not every person would be like that. So don't heed me as saying that every rural community 65-year-old person is like my grandfather. He was a unique man. But, I'm just saying that, some people would, even at 65.
Yeah, some people will. It's just not enough to really sustain those communities.
Right. Absolutely not. But, goodbye, AOL. I salute you. Other topic that we have for this one is Mozilla is still supporting Windows 7. Like, holy crap. Windows 7. Windows 10 came.
Mm-hmm.
We're now in Windows 11. Windows 11 has a lot of good things and bad things for it. Windows 7 probably still my favorite Windows operating system.
Windows 7 was a good operating system.
It just is... I mean, there's no reason to have it out there anymore, but there are still people that do.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend that works for a company that does like legal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're like basically working on a call center for routing cases to lawyers or something like that. And they're still on Windows 7 for their machine.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, how do I fix this problem? I was like, it sounds like you hit some sort of key combination. And, the solution to fixing the problem, which I still don't know what it was, was that they unplugged all the stuff from their computer and plugged it back in. Didn't shut off the computer, just unplugged all the peripherals and plugged it back in. And I was like, that sounds wrong.
Yeah, it had to be some driver issue
or
restarting the driver when they
well,
reconnected it.
It wouldn't let them. It would only let them like right click. It wouldn't let them do anything else. Every button was a right click.
Yeah,
On
that's
the
gotta
keyboard,
be,
mouse.
yeah, generic driver
headset,
issue, because a lot of those
something.
cheap peripherals don't have their own drivers, so just something went wrong with
Something.
the generic plug and play driver.
Yeah, so they unplugged everything, plugged it back in, but they're on Windows 7.
Yeah,
I mean, thank God that some web browser out there is still trying to support
yeah. I
it.
mean, this is the thing about businesses around the world, and I think we really get hidden from it working at some of like the more cutting edge, like larger tech companies. But like, there's a reason all these security issues keep happening everywhere, and it's because people do not maintain their infrastructure. IT is viewed as a cost. It's a sink. And if there's not going to be an appreciable amount of increase of revenue from moving from 7 to 10 or 11, then they're not going to do it.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. And, they don't understand that, you haven't gotten security updates in a bajillion years, and you are probably already in the botnet. And you're just lucky that they decided to put you in the botnet instead of scanning your computers for your legal documents.
Yep.
It happens. It's worse than other countries, because a lot of them have struggled to get the latest stuff. But like even here in the U.S., yeah, you see it. I mean, when I was going through and renovating all those computers of that HR company, I was touching some like Windows 2000 stuff. And I was moving them over to 7.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, this has been done for a while. Like, and gosh, some of their Macs that they'd had for a previous art team were on a version of Mac before it even looked like a modern operating system.
Right.
I don't remember which version it was.
That's
it was
7 or 8 probably. So
way further back than that.
So like 6.
I remember it looking like the Mac computers did when I was in elementary school.
Oh yeah.
Like if you told me it was 3, I might believe you. Like it was old.
I mean, 6 and 7 look pretty. They still kind of look like that. They just had color palettes instead of being black and white.
Yeah, I mean,
you're gonna have to look it up.
I'm gonna look up pictures real quick.
But yeah, so I mean, we've all experienced this, right? Like having to run VMs that have like Windows 98 or Windows XP or something like that to like kind of have this interaction with one specific program or something like that hasn't been updated to the newest thing, and they don't want to buy something new. They've already got a license for this program, and they're not trying to like get something new or reformat to have a new one, but then it causes issues. There's a whole there were problems with Windows 7 Windows XP running infrastructure for governmental stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then they updated it to Windows 7, and then that Windows 7 was already out of support at that point.
Yep.
And they've still kept them running because they still only use like a closed net, and so they feel like that's never going to be a problem because they're either on like a special VPN setup or dial-in service or something like that. Overly complex setups that are set to be secure, and never like moving forward where those things are inherently insecure because they are not maintained. But then also sometimes you get like weird bouts of security because they aren't maintained. They never get updated to this newer thing, where it would have some sort of vulnerability like the JLog or something like that, where it doesn't even like fit in with that technology. It's got a myriad of other problems, but it's not got this problem or something like that. So
yeah, so it was OS X 10.1.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's newer than I thought it was based off of your description. Because 10 was definitely, like 10 was supposed to be the version that you never have to upgrade from again. Like they'll just keep it perpetually going.
Yeah, they didn't.
They didn't move it. They didn't move it on to like 10.7 or 10.8 or something like that, right?
No. 10.1, it was Puma, which was released in 2001.
Yeah.
stopped receiving updates in 2002, and I was working on it in like 2008 or 2009.
That is crazy. I mean, especially since like the machines probably just needed to run through the upgrade cycle.
Mm-hmm. Well, eventually you'll run into a problem that like hardware doesn't support it.
Right.
So like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure they were upgrading until the machine was just like, I won't take a newer one, and they just never saw a point to replace the machine or to do anything else with it, and we're just dealing with massively outdated stuff.
I mean, true, but like 10 was still, until they went to 11, like in 2017 or whatever, was still like the operating system that Mac ran off of. So not, I mean, 10.1 obviously not. It was like 10.13 or something like that when they moved off of the 10 line and moved to, I think, was it Big Sur? I don't remember. Anyways, when they moved to the Mac OS, they started calling it Mac OS, and they just started like having a numbering scheme that went along with it. But still, man, ooh. And it could have been that they had like Power PCs that only supported the first version of 10 or something like that.
Exactly.
So I get
they
what
were
you're
these
saying.
like all-in-one units and stuff like that.
Oh man, those are classics.
Yeah, just your big monitor that had a bunch of stuff.
Kind of like that one over there.
Yeah, it's a bigger because they were like art machines. They were huge. They were like 32-inch screens and stuff.
But they're kind of
but it's that
Of
concept.
Anyways, well, this has been Season 8, Episode 11 of the Beer and Broadband Podcast, slated to come out on September 8th, 2025. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time.